This program is fan-generated. If you'd like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com. And also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support are greatly appreciated. Hello, I'm Annie Cyrus, the producer of the Glazov gang. First, I wanted to thank you all for all the great support you have been giving us for the last 4 years, especially last few months. Because of your love and your support, we were able to come back and continue our fight. But now we still do need your support. Please go to jamieglazov.com and donate any amount you can. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page. And we want you to know that we will not rest until we win this war to guarantee a free and beautiful America for our next generation. Thank you.
Good evening. Welcome to the Glazov gang. Tonight, back by popular demand, a very special guest, Toni Bugle, the founder of M.A.R.I.A.S, which stands for Mothers Against Radical Islam and Sharia. Toni, welcome back to the Glazov gang.
Thanks for having me back.
Thank you, Toni. We really appreciated what you came on last week and what you shared with us. Let us continue this evening, Toni. The title of this program is The Horrifying Fate of the Victims of Muslim Rape Gangs. And it's a difficult topic. It's a frightening topic. But, you know, we both agreed that it is very important to discuss what's actually happening to the victims. Let us begin, Toni. First, introduce yourself a little bit once again if somebody missed the last episode in terms of your background and what happened to you.
Well, as you know, I myself was quite violently raped. I don't have any problem in going into detail purely because I kind of think that the word rape no longer hits where it needs to hit, and people need to hear what we go through. So if you've got no problem, obviously it is quite graphic, even my own story, including these girls and women that are contacting me now. So if you're all right with me doing that, I don't want to say something that's going to offend yourself or anybody who's listening.
No, absolutely, Toni. And you know, and we're doing this show also because there is literally an Islamic rape of the United Kingdom occurring at the moment, of Western Europe, and there's Muslim rape gangs that are just running rampant. The authorities are not doing anything about it, and these gangs are operating because they're inspired and sanctioned by Islamic theology and Islamic teachings. And, you know, Gavin Bobby, his report, Easy Meat, quote unquote, and this title, by the way, it's not just something he came up with. This is what the Muslims were bragging in terms of, you know, how they barbarize and rape, the white Kafir girls. So you have quite a bit of knowledge because you work with the victims. Tell us a bit about their fate and what the Muslim rape gangs are doing to these poor victims.
I'll give you a couple of examples. One young girl who contacted me, and I say young girl, she's actually in her 30s now, but obviously when this started, she was only 11 years old. They start by finding out what that girl's vulnerability is. That's the first thing they've got to do, because you have to know what somebody's vulnerability is in order to hone in on that vulnerability itself. Often they'll bribe them, tell them how beautiful they are, how special they are, and how nobody will ever love them the way they love them, and that you can't tell your parents because your parents won't understand. There's almost a pattern to it. She was 11 years old when she was first groomed, and they eventually took her up and down the length and breadth of the UK, from one end of it to the other, including Scotland. She was taken to flats often above kebab houses or above taxi ranks. She was then raped repeatedly by a multitude of men. I mean, the first time she was raped, it was by one guy, and then it was threats. They took photographs of her, and there was threats to tell her parents, and made her feel that she was the one that was doing something bad. She was then taken to all these different places, and each time they would have a queue of men, anything from 4 men to 8 men to 10 men.
And these are Muslim men, and as Gavin Bobby has also pointed out, these are pious, devout Muslims, many of them who are praying during the day and running out and raping Kafir girls at night because of what the Surah 4:3 and other teachings tell them is should and can be done.
Absolutely. I mean, there is people, I mean, I don't know if you saw some of the comments that I was replying to on our earlier video that we've done, where again, you get this, they're not true Muslims, they're not true Muslims, or they are true Muslims because they were in your mosque prior, they were in your mosque during. Nobody exposed these men for what they were doing. They were predominantly Pakistani. There were Bangladeshi, but they were predominantly Pakistani men. She took to self-harming quite severely, this one particular girl. She had marked herself to such an extent that the only way I can describe it is from her wrist to her elbow looked like somebody had tattooed bright red tram lines up her arm.
And Toni, why I think it's so important to get into really the truth of these matters and the barbarity involved here is the callousness of the left, the callousness of this media, because they want to hold on to their belief that this is not Islam and that, this happens everywhere and we shouldn't judge only one group. And because of this politically correct notion in their head, they are sacrificing thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of girls to this kind of barbarity. Now, Gavin Bobby, in his report, once again, go take a look at it, viewers. Gavin Bobby, quote-unquote, easy meat. It's a report on what's happening in this context. And Toni, what I wanted to further our discussion, Gavin writes in there of how some of these poor girls, they nail their tongue to the table. They pour gasoline on them and threaten them that they'll light them on fire unless they do certain things. We cannot abandon these girls. Tell us a bit more about what you know of the atrocities that they suffer.
Well, as I was saying, when she started to cut herself, for an example, she thought it would repulse them and make them stop. It didn't. What it actually did was at least one of them took a blade and was cutting her whilst he was having sex with her, whilst he was raping her. I can't even call it having sex whilst he was raping her, because it's what he called blood play. That's just one of the many things. She was forced to take ketamine, which affects the memory. She was beaten. She was not permitted to leave the bed. She was not permitted to wash. She was not permitted to urinate. Absolutely everything that could be done to this girl was done to this girl. It only stopped just over a year ago.
And Toni, we will continue our discussion in the next episode. Thank you so much for coming on. I wish we could speak for several hours, but let us end with this. The girl that you're referring to represents, like we said, tens of thousands. One report out there saying that it's about 1 million girls that have been affected like this in the last decade or 2 decades. Tell our viewers about your group and where people can come and help you to help these girls.
Well, as you know, it's called Mothers Against Radical Islam and Sharia. They can find me on Twitter. They can find me on Facebook. And the one thing that I want to get across is, don't anybody think that their daughters are safe from this. It matters not whether you come from a poor background or a rich background. Every girl is fair game. And if you're, the only racism I see is the racism towards these girls who happen to be white, and that is continuously denied, it's continuously ignored, and every government official, every police officer and every social worker, in my opinion, should be held accountable for that.
Another chapter of how the left sacrifices humanity on the altar of its utopian ideals. Toni, you are a true hero. Thank you for everything that we're doing, that you're doing, and we're going to have you back on the show very soon.
I look forward to it.
Thank you, Toni. And thank you, our viewers of the Glazov Gang, for watching. Go to jamieglazov.com to support the show if you like the show, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you on the next edition. Good night.